Happy Wednesday. I'm KHOU11 meteorologist Kim Castro. We're going to take a deep dive into the huge pattern change that we've seen over the last 24 hours. A stark temperature drop to start us off. I mean, look at this. Minus 24, so 24-degree temperature change from this exact same time yesterday. We dropped 25 degrees in Katy, 23 in Sugar Land, at least 15 even along the coastline that gets nuzzled in with some of that Gulf moisture. And it's all because the breeze now is coming in out of the northeast, and that is a dry air, and that will continue to bring us really good-looking weather, comfortable weather. 65 degrees at Bush Intercontinental Airport. This is the afternoon. This time yesterday we're at 88 degrees, so it is nice and welcomed. 12-mile-an-hour sustained wind. You'll notice it's going to be breezy throughout the day today because we're not done yet dragging in that cooler air from up north. And look at the dew points. I mean, I've been celebrating dew points in the 40s. Now we have dew points in the 30s. It is bone dry out there. So, like I said, throughout the day, we're going to continue to funnel in that breeze coming in out of the northeast. Gusts could get up and over 20-25 miles an hour, at least to maybe 5 o'clock. From there on out, it's going to start to relax a bit, and then we just get to enjoy the really comfortable air that follows. This afternoon, we're only maxing out at 74 degrees in Houston. That is incredible. A mixture of sun and a couple of clouds in the mix, but no rain. So how did we get this stark temperature drop? Well, it has to do with where the air source originates. So because we had this front bringing in air from the north, we were dragging in, well, what comes from the north, which is polar continental air. And this air mass is extremely chilly. Yeah, we're not this cold, of course. However, as this air travels down through the continental U.S., it drags in some of that cold air all the way down to Houston. So what'll happen is as the air travels through the surface, it mixes in with some warmer air that's here already in place, and so it acclimates a little bit. So although we're not as chilly as, say, 23 degrees, we're down to 65, which is, like we saw, 20 to 25 degrees cooler than where we were yesterday. And because we continue to see that north breeze gusting throughout the day, it means the front's not done doing its work just yet. In fact, tomorrow morning will be the coolest air temperature that we see with this particular front. We'll drop down to 48 degrees, which is the coldest start to the day we've had since April 4th. So for more than 6 months, we have been waiting patiently for this nice fall weather to kick in. How about the next 3 days? The afternoons are going to be beautiful. We'll be in the mid-70s on our Thursday. Friday, we'll start to see temperatures climb up ever so slightly, but still in the 70s. And then Saturday, we'll breach that low 80s territory. And notice Saturday even has a 20% chance for an isolated shower, but it is really going to be just that, very isolated, because not only do we not have a big front that's going to usher in the chance for rain, we really don't have a whole lot of moisture to work with in the first place. This is a look at the humidity map. Houston is dry. The dew point's in the 30s. It's bone dry. The only spot with some moisture is Corpus Christi and areas south towards Brownsville. With dew points in the 30s, even in the 50s, that's when we start to feel bone dry. But the 30s, that means there's just nothing to use up in the atmosphere. It's going to be at least dry to comfortable throughout the weekend. As we head into next week, we'll start to increase humidity ever so slightly. In case you're thinking this is a little too dry for me, I'm going to need a little extra lotion or a little extra chapstick. Don't worry, it'll even itself out by this weekend. Future track looks like this. So just a couple of clouds in the mix for today, for tomorrow, even into Friday. Saturday, that's when we could see some of those clouds materialize into a few scattered, isolated, spotty showers. And I mean isolated because still tracking the rain potential, which is super low from here all the way into next week. This is the only thing showing up on our future track models. The lowest potential, about 1/10 of an inch or less, so trace amounts, and this would only be for Matagorda, Brazoria, maybe a spotty shower for Galveston, in case you're planning to take the family to, say, Pleasure Pier for a nice little weekend getaway. The drought report is something that we'll continue to keep an eye on. We get a brand new one on Thursday, so check back in with us tomorrow and I'll be able to update you on some of the shifts. We are going to see the drought monitor shift and continuously worsen if we don't see any rain in the mix. That's just natural. The vegetation starts to dry up even more, and with that, we become a little bit more susceptible to fire danger. So for the time being, we're okay. The yellow only means we're abnormally dry. That's not a drought category. We started moderate drought, and you'll notice Washington is in that. Bryan College Station is part of that, Liberty, and then the northern portion of Chambers County. So we need the rain for the drought. We need the rain for the pollen. My goodness, the rain washes out the atmosphere, and since there is none, all the pollen, all the particulate matter is just staying suspended within our breathing range. So high tree pollen, elm is the main culprit, moderate grasses, and extremely high ragweed. The count for today has surpassed 1,300, and the mold spores also very high. Now it's time to talk about the tropics. It's still hurricane season. It's hurricane season through November 30th, and there's really not much of an update here. So the National Hurricane Center still looking at this area in the central Atlantic, which brings a cluster of storms to Haiti and the Dominican Republic within the next 7 days. That could develop. It has a chance, 40% right now. And then this cluster of storms in Central America now has a lesser chance. 20% is what the National Hurricane Center is giving that for the potential of development. Now, the good news for Houstonians, and really for the Gulf Coast in general, is typically, seasonably, the month of October steers these storms towards the eastern seaboard. And why is that? Well, because we've got fall fronts, like the one we just saw, and that acts as a barricade, and it places the steering current a little bit further towards the east. Now that's just a general trend. I'm not saying forget about it. Don't keep up with the tropics. Definitely do, because we know there are anomalies. Here's a check at the names that we've already gone through for the Atlantic hurricane season list. Next up is Nadine, Oscar, Patty, and then Raphael. 7-day outlook is beautiful. I mean, pretty calm, pretty nice. We get the best of everything. We've got sunshine without the worry of the heat, with temperatures staying nice and mild. Upper 70s by Friday, then low 80s from there on out. And we've got, dry air as well. Your only worry in terms of carrying an umbrella is if you're going to the coast and it's only on Saturday. The chance sits at just 20%.